It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcast. The show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards is The Outer Realm. And that's in the category of Best Female Hosted Podcast. The Outer Realm is a popular show hosted by Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano, which has millions of listeners each week. They are well known for their laid-back, roundtable style of interviewing. Together, this dynamic duo brings you the best of the best with guests from around the world who are well-versed within their respective fields of ufology, paranormal, cryptozoology, folklore, and anything else that would be deemed outside the realm of normal. Michelle is an international public figure who has spent the last 2 decades working in the international paranormal community, in research and media. Amelia is a remote viewing medium with 10 years of working with missing children, as well as cold and active murder cases. So go to podcastawards.com to nominate The Outer Realm in the category of Best Female Hosted Podcast. That's podcastawards.com. It's super easy. So just please take a moment and get out and go vote.
Welcome to The Outer Realm with Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Outer Realm Wednesday night segment number 2. I'll get into that shortly. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network 105.3 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. We are fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee who have been on this journey with us since the very beginning. Thank you, Folgers. We appreciate you so much. Big thank you to Dr. Snick, Justin Snicker, the sonic surgeon. He is an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found anywhere that good music can be seen. Anyway, he is, of course, responsible for our intro and our outro. So thank you, Justin. Again, we couldn't do it without you. You all contribute to this amazing show. Now, in the news, podcastawards.com. Yes, podcastawards.com. Go seek it out and find us, the Outer Realm Radio, under Best Female Hosted Podcast and the Adam Curry category, which I believe is up at the top. So go on, show us some love. Show us how much you love us. Come on. Of course, we had another show planned. We did a pre-record, and it was a really amazing show, I have to say. And jam-packed with some unbelievable information, and it will come to you guys. Unfortunately, there was a few things in there, little hiccups that we do have to edit through because we are also on FM radio. We also have these amazing sponsors, and we are governed by certain, rules and regulations that we have to abide by. So of course, we're going to go through some editing processes, and then we're going to make that archive available to everyone because it really is it was a fabulous show. So instead, we thought, hi. Q&A. Everybody asked about the yeah, right? Next one wasn't until August. I'm like, you know what?
Let's just do a switch out.
We could always just do a Q&A. I'm like, yeah, we could do a Q&A.
We weren't going to leave you with a repeat.
No, and we've been really griping a lot about some stuff lately. So we thought, okay.
Perfect timing.
When we get a bit of a buildup of stuff, we know. Yeah. Jolene. Yeah, kind of like that. We really do need to
little Jolene
get on that stuff. Yeah, Jolene. It's like we have to get on that stuff. So anyway, guys, you can find us tonight on UFO Paranormal Radio, YouTube, UFO Gods and Extraterrestrials, The Outer Realm Radio, Over on Facebook, we got The Outer Realm, of course, Canada the Most Haunted, Joe Montaldo, UFO Undercover, News on the Flip Side, UFO Paranormal Network, and United Public Radio, all on YouTube. Also want to give a shout out tonight to Nicole Antoinette, who is our newest show Tuesday nights at
she had one amazing show last night.
yeah, she did, and I believe it's at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and it's an hour, and she's really awesome. She's been on our show before, so go look for her archive on with Nicole Antoinette, and she's a real sweetie. So big shout out to her as well. If you happen to catch her, go check it out. She is on YouTube, and she's got a whole lot of stuff on there, so just do it. And yeah, so Bubbles, after
hello again.
I know, two shows, like 2 for the price of 1 today.
I forgot how exhausting that is.
Yeah, well,
I forgot all about that.
It's long for sure.
I'm getting old. I used to be able to do so many a week, and now it's like, oh, just start 2.
It's
terrible.
Tough. It's funny, terrible. Zach, man. We were wondering what happened to you. We missed you too. And hello,
tell your
Zach's
fiance we said hello and
in.
Our deepest condolences on her loss.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. My gosh. But thank you for tuning in tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're always so pleased when people take the time. We have Wayne, Janie, Tamara, Adriana. Hello.
Absolutely. Hi, guys. I'm going to play with my gain on my sound because I'm hearing myself too loud.
Ooh.
But,
where do
you want to start?
My gosh.
Where do you want to start? Seriously.
You know what? I have to have a little bit of a gripe session about research and how there's so many people out there who do phenomenal research, and they put it out there, they share it with people. I've always said that if everyone who came before us in this field didn't share it, we wouldn't really not be any further ahead. But guys, it is really nice that if you're going to take some of that research, and I'm not talking about me, just so you know, this is just stuff I'm starting to see, online, or just talking to people that they're having their research taken. Yeah. And it's like, yeah. So it's not me. I haven't had, anything I've researched, I put out on radio goes to the airwaves. It's fair game, I guess. But there are a lot of people out there who are having their hard work plagiarized and such.
And I think we need to remind people that an NDA means non-disclosure agreement, and it's legally binding. And when you release information that requires you to keep it to yourself for sometimes there's a period of time, sometimes it's for always, you can never discuss it. There's usually a deadline on it, and it's something crazy like 25, 50 years, or after, if it's law, it's after the fact of the case being closed and the verdict is in and blah, 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 and everything's settled. If you
don't get
break that agreement, well, I hope this person's listening. If you break that agreement, those are legal grounds to be sued. And I mean sued to the point where you can never publish anything again. Your name will be completely ruined, and they will research you to the back end of your life, all the way back as to what you've posted. Remember, social media is legally binding. You put something out in the public, the minute you make it public, it becomes legal. And it's liability, it's defamation. Watch yourself.
Think it's because it's social media.
Yeah, there's nothing social about social media.
And we're not just talking about the paranormal field. We're talking about just any field in general. It's easy to say, well, this information is out there for everyone. It's easy to say, this is just theory. Just theorizing. This is just theory. Yeah, everything is pretty. You can spend your whole life theorizing about a lot of stuff.
If you sign a piece of paper that says, I will not reveal any of this information, and it is itemized on an NDA, let me tell you something. You get sued, and guess who pays for the lawyer's fees on the other side? You do.
It is kind of like that. Absolutely. So kids, you got to play nice in the schoolyard. So
Yeah.
we
Oh
go.
my gosh, right? It's
I've
been
had
a
to
week.
actually take a break. Yeah, it's right, Zach. There we go. Oh, I'm sorry that you're learning that lesson though. But you know what? Yeah, see, Adriana works in law.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Adriana, for
You know
that.
what?
Because I've signed non-disclosures because of working criminal cases, and I still can't talk
No,
about
there's
certain ones. And there's
you
ones that I
can't,
will never be able to
and you
because
have to
they're
respect
not
that.
closed.
Just
I
because you leave an organization doesn't mean you get to talk about it. Just because, like, here's something else where I'm having a problem. I had to
have
take a
magical
break from
freelance
all of
work.
this stuff for a
Yeah.
while because my head was freaking spinning. I have spent, I've been filming also, and I've been, my schedule has been off. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah,
Okay.
a
And
little
it's
bit.
been great experience. Great experience. It's going to be a great documentary. I can't wait for you guys all to see
I
it.
can't wait to see it.
I know it's gonna be really good.
Yeah.
But you know what? Realistically speaking, my head's been spinning because I'm getting tagged in things and people are bringing things to my attention. So I try to take a little bit of time. I try to look at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, the amount of stuff that's going on. It makes me wonder, what would somebody sell their integrity for? A spot on a bloody show. Let me tell you, I've done a lot of spots on a lot of shows, and it comes and it goes.
Oh,
It comes and it goes. It's here one day, it's gone the next. You're a person who's being brought on to theorize or to talk about what you know, maybe talk about things you shouldn't talk about or you don't have permission to talk about. And maybe it's your own research, and kudos to you if it is, because that's a great opportunity for you to share it with the world and really get the attention that you deserve. And this is anybody, I'm not talking about anybody specific. This is anybody in any field where research applies.
Yeah.
But at the end of it all, just remember, one day you're going to be nobody to them. Don't compare yourself to like other people who do the same thing, because I know of one scenario and the person being compared to, it's just that woman is like exceptional and has done her time.
Yeah,
It's
and
like,
it's a discredit to her that you're even comparing yourself. Just saying.
you know what? Just remember, your integrity
Hi,
shouldn't be for sale, and people know things behind the scene. Just
yeah, you could be
behave.
getting away with it for now, but one day it's going to come back to bite you in the behind because
might.
people will not want to work with you. Things like that get around so fast. I don't know if it was Sunday or Monday. I actually messaged Michelle and told her not to open up social media.
It's like, wow.
Because of the amount of mentions and tags. And I said, don't open it. It's going to ruin your day. It's a day off. Like, just don't look at it.
I mean, we have a lot of
just
pages.
for a few hours,
We have a lot of
'cause
pages.
There's too much.
There's a lot of things on the go. There's a lot of projects and stuff that we consult on and such, and you can't keep up with it all. You just can't keep up with it all.
Just a piece of advice: if you have a beef with someone, don't put it on their page. Don't. Just take a deep breath. Take a pause. Don't knee-jerk react, because whether you put it in Messenger or you put it on their page, again, it becomes libel.
And again, this is not us. We're not talking about us. We're talking about a different situation.
Although I've had people put stuff on my timeline, which is why I don't permit it anymore. And it was a liability. And I said, if you continue, you will be sued. I don't take crap. I have the time and the means to keep you in court for the rest of your life. So it's like, don't pull this crap with me. But this person pulled something with someone who's extremely vulnerable, and I don't like it. So, anyways.
And I don't have the time to be bothered, but I could definitely take care of you if I had to. I don't have time, people. I just want to be freaking happy-go-lucky, bring you guys, good research when I do the gray zone, work on, finding great people so we can bring you the best that we can for the outer realm. That takes a lot of work, not counting everything else that, I have going on in my life. And I know Amelia's got going on in her life. And I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of things going on in their lives too. It's just, let's
I
just
don't,
play nice in the schoolyard, and
yeah,
your
especially
integrity,
social media.
it should be invaluable,
Yeah.
right?
I put a post out there last week because I closed a really good Twitter account years ago because I did not fit in.
Right.
I had loads of followers, but the interaction wasn't for me. And I've noticed that Twitter, and I watched Emily Baker, who is a lawyer on YouTube. I watched her, one of her episodes, and she said, if you want to speak badly of a person, it's one thing to call out an action in her
Mm,
chat room. She was, talking to someone in her chat room, but I refuse to let you demean and call person names in my chat room. That's what Twitter's for. And I started to laugh because Twitter is the zone where trolls go to school, and
mm,
there's a lot of trolls there. Don't
right.
bring that to Facebook. Don't bring it to Instagram.
Right.
We've been free of that crap for a long time.
Right.
So much going on in your life, right? I know.
Yeah. Hey,
It's like you
Kira. Hey,
wake, but
Kanan. How are you?
I was so stupid because I woke up and I turned on my phone and
Face.
I'm like, what did I do? I just want to relax.
Sometimes
What
it's
did
not
I
worth
do?
it. Just back
Yeah.
away from the social media
But when
for a
there's an
little while.
underdog, it bothers me.
Right. I
So
know.
that's
I
why
know.
it had to be said. Just don't put your crap on Facebook. If you have an issue with a person, go to that person. If you're that tough, go to that person.
Mm.
That's all. Reach out to them and deal with it. Don't put it on other group pages and all of that other stuff.
No,
And non-DA means
we don't all want to hear it. Sorry.
non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah,
It's
that's
binding.
right. It
Remember
is.
that.
It is. It really is. So, so now we can get on to, other fun stuff.
Yeah.
So of course, we work with a lot of people. We help a lot of people, and there's oh boy, there's a lot going on out there, and I want to talk about EVPs for a moment. A lot of people will send in voice recordings. A lot of people will basically, do their own, and then they end up in a little bit of trouble. And I'll tell you, sometimes when I deal with people and I say, please don't do any voice recordings, I'm very careful with the recordings that are sent to me. Also, I've had some real whoppers sent to me, and I keep those things put away. They don't belong anywhere else but in my file, because
You don't
you
share them.
start taking responsibility for that. You take responsibility for your own, and I take it very seriously when people send me things as well, because if people think, okay, if I use headphones, I can listen to this, or I can let other people listen to this, and they're safe. Because there's this thing called like a bleed through. So if you have some really malevolent things and you play them, it goes out into the atmosphere. There's a belief that so can that energy. But there's something else that people don't think about. Okay. It's one thing if you are somewhat used to this thing as a researcher, like, yeah, no problem. I can listen to it. I'm okay. But sometimes people allow other people to listen to it. Okay. And the things kind of like piggyback. And they don't realize that, no, things aren't bleeding through, and you're not there in person, so they're not jumping. But what happens now to the person who may be listening to a recording, something growling or something like they've never heard before? Just think of what that can do to the psyche for just a moment and the mindset. You may have just opened up that person's energy to the point now where they're wide open. Well,
Yeah.
transference of energy, in a way, yes, not in this case or these cases, because the person is just listening to it. It doesn't mean that things jump. Like, I can tell you there are some recordings that I've had that we've gone in and we've gotten rid of that. It's gone. I mean, it's gone for real. So we're not so worried that something's going to jump out of this recording now. That specific energy has been removed. And it doesn't change, though, somebody who may be listening to it, and it might literally terrify them to the point now where now the mindset has changed a little bit, you don't know that a door hasn't opened for them just through fear. You have to be responsible with that sort of stuff. You really do. It's really not a free for all. It's not something that should be trifled with. If I had $1 for every time somebody messaged me and said there's something in the house, I was doing some recordings, things piggyback anyway. There's that potential, but you have to be responsible. You would not imagine how many situations start because of mind. It's the mindset. Never mind everything else that goes with it. Now we've got a lot of we've got some comments coming in. Hello, Lisa.
Oh, we've had people in the past who would do the work because they are investigators and then always fall back on us clearing, which is fine when there's children and animals involved and stuff like that. We would never let that sit. But I have to remind you that when you have that thought, that Michelle and I are putting everything we have and everyone we love at risk going in to save your butt for that. I mean, investigators, not people who come to you personally for help. I mean,
a little bit different.
We've had a few investigators because they're not mediums and
we're happy to help. But all I'm saying is just people have to, and it's not everybody. Believe me, there's so many. I've worked with so many researchers over the last couple of decades, and you get to know who just don't really know and who are really trying or maybe new in the field to the frequent flyers. It's you can be a researcher, you can investigate, but there's got to be some kind of due diligence in there somewhere too. Like don't go in, challenging and doing all kinds of things and think that you're not going to attract something's attention. So there we go. Really, I want to get that one.
Thank you. Zachman says that may explain why I always feel like someone is watching me after I hear an EVP or participate in an online ITC session. Yeah, you need to ground.
Mindset
and ground.
Grounding is always. Yeah. I mean, it's not 100% foolproof grounding, but it's sure going to lessen your chances, right? Here we go.
Yeah. Faith is Shady D.
Yeah.
It's forcing potentially unwanted information, much like sending healing energy without permission. Yeah, it's intrusive too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Here we go. Tamara, you want to get that?
What about an echo of emotion being transferred?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that for sure.
And if they have an attachment, you're feeding that too when you hand over an EVP like that, especially if you don't know.
No, it is really important. I mean, it's fun. And, investigating is a lot of fun. And I always said, that when I used to do the tours, it was a great place for people who, hey, Wayne.
Hi, Wayne.
It's a great place for people to come together who aren't part of a group or don't have anywhere to go, but they really want to learn more. You search around and see if you've got any tours or events in your area. And some of these places will teach you how to use equipment or how to ground yourself, what to do, what not to do. Sometimes it's better than just trying to go into, a haunted location by yourself and not really knowing what you're up against. And here's another big one, guys. Just because it's abandoned or just because it's a cemetery or just because it looks like it could be haunted, it doesn't mean that it is. Trespassing is not cool on any level because we've seen people get hurt. I mean, people have died. Yeah. Some of these buildings are abandoned and they're closed up for a reason.
Yeah.
We've investigated some of them in the past with permission. And we were forced to go during the day to see in the daylight where everything was.
And where it's not.
And then to go back at night or where it's not, like floors.
Where the floor was missing.
There's no floor here. Remember that. Note to self, don't walk straight out to the veranda.
Some of those floors are like walking through a 200-year-old home attic. Like, think about it. They're
It's true.
abandoned, they're open. That means the weather has played with them. People
Mhm.
have squatted in there, there's damage.
There's
You
lots
have to
of
be careful.
animals.
People have broken legs on investigations.
It can be dangerous. It can be dangerous. And it's not always what people think either.
No,
People
injury.
automatically think that, oh wow, this is awesome. This is going to be, like fun and games. You could sit there all night and get nothing. Seriously. So you want to make sure that you at least, you know, make sure you're someplace safe and secure and just I mean, have fun with it, but just be responsible as well. Here we
Yeah,
go.
I love this. Shitty D writes, even listening to this can put people on edge. I just saw a bright orb fly by and it scared the crap out of me. Turns out it was just a firefly, so no spookies here. It does put you in that, right? It's like when you watch a horror film and they can be the dumbest film ever, but that music, that dun,
It's
dun,
true.
dun, that
You
creepy,
just wait.
it just yeah,
Yeah.
it just puts you on the edge of your seat, and that's what it's supposed to do, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And I'll tell you, you also have. I want to make mention of this because I did this when I was in Scotland, and this doesn't always work out so well depending on the person. I did a haunted tour in Scotland. It was unbelievable, and went to some very popular sites. I mean, right, Adriana, you'll remember because you were there, and they have this theory that by scaring the crud out of somebody, that we would release endorphins, which would attract, spirits and poltergeists and
oh
things
my god.
to us. So I had this guy, right, Adriana? The tour guide kept like bouncing out of the bloody dark at me, and I'd be just looking at him like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh," he's like, "I can't scare you." I'm like, "What are you doing?" But I'm used to ghost tours. Yes, that's right, the mausoleum, right? Because that's not creepy enough. Okay,
Oh,
so
especially at night.
oh my gosh, so let's say you're in that situation and you have somebody who's just not used to it. I mean, they're skittish. This might be their first time. And you start jumping out like a crazy person at somebody. I would do that tour all over again, just saying. But you just
Without
have,
the startle.
yeah. I was just sort of like, what are you
If that
doing?
was true, then all of those haunted houses, haunted house, um, more for entertainment in Niagara Falls would be
Everything.
infested. If that
I
was
know.
true,
How many
but
things, those spring-loaded things jump up at you? People go
you have to
down.
sign
You know?
a waiver when you go into some of them
I
to get to
know.
different levels.
I
I
know.
think
It's
I would
true.
pass out because I'm not afraid, but I startle very easily.
That's right. But that's
Fear
all
is
it takes.
different. Yeah, yeah. I'm just that person that does that, but
Yeah, I
no,
know.
fear of it, no. I think that comes from not having the fear, I think comes from having to deal with some of the scariest stuff
Mm. No,
and
it
just
is the
knowing that
shock
you have to
factor.
have that mindset. Yeah.
It is a shock factor though.
Yeah.
Like somebody can, I always say, I don't scare very easily, but holy crap, you jump out at me in the right situation, of course I'm going to be startled. I am like somewhat human.
I startle very easily. I call
But
my daughter a stealth bomber. She shows up,
there
she's
you
like a
go.
ninja. She just shows up anywhere. I'm like, what the? You don't make noise.
I know. Put a bell on you or
I've
something.
broken
No,
a few things, few
I know.
dishes. Yeah, it's just,
Just put a bell on her. She's little.
she
You could
thinks
do
it's
it.
so funny. One day I did it to her. She was not impressed.
No, heck no. So you
Yeah.
just remember that it's just it's all fun and games until somebody ends up bringing the poltergeist home. So let's not do that. Here we go. Put up another one. There we
Oh,
go.
yeah. Don't people leave behind negative energy for the next person to pick up on when they get startled?
Mm,
Eh,
yeah. Well,
it's all imprint, regardless. Happy, scared, angry.
Well, you do. I mean, we leave traces of ourselves everywhere we go. Our energy is there. I think when you have an impact, whether it's fear, whether it's joy, whether someone passes away in that moment in time, in that place, that will leave one hell of an imprint. You get into an argument with someone, I always say, this is one I've used often. You're sitting, you get into a fight with your child or your significant other, and you stomp out of the room, and you come back 2 hours, and you come back and you sit in the room and you're wondering why you're feeling foul. Well, I don't know. you might
Yeah.
you might want to just like patchouli the place to death, or get the sage,
patchouli.
or get whatever it is that you need.
Yeah. No, just you said that and I could smell it.
Yes, cleanse
Like,
the atmosphere, cleanse the space, whatever it is you need to do, because we do absorb energy.
Oh, Wayne, jump out in front of Michelle and you take your life into your own hands. Just saying.
You're not wrong.
I will
wrong.
never, and I've mentioned this before, forget the time that Wayne put on a mask and he tried to startle me in the doorway of the dining room and the kitchen. And I'm just talking to Michelle and I just look at him and I continue talking. He's like, really?
It's like, what are you doing? Exactly.
Like, huh?
Yeah. Like, stop it. I know. Story of my life. So,
Oh, it was just so funny. Yeah, it's wow.
Yes, bay leaves. Yes,
They
I love bay
say
leaves also.
they say I always say that airports are severely haunted, and you have to think of this. I'm going to put it into perspective for you. An airport sees more hugs, kisses, laughter, and tears than a church.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. That's a lot of energy imprinted. And I can tell you that I have had experiences in airports where I'm in the bathroom by myself and something happens, or because I've traveled alone, and I can tell you stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
We tend to dismiss it because they're busy places, and you dismiss it that someone else is there, but pause for a moment and check it out and you'd be surprised.
Technically speaking, I think there's a whole other world going on. Well, I mean, if you're speaking about dimensions, you probably say a few, but even within our space, there's a whole other world going on, but we're just failing to see, the signs that they leave, which again, I want to touch on grieving again, because one thing I have been noticing on social media when I am on here, I don't get on here like a whole lot to really just, go around per se. But one thing I do notice that's popping up a lot is loss of life, and not just people, animals too. A lot of people are losing their pets and such. And it just seems to, this is the time of year or something, but there really seems to be a lot.
It's so sad.
It is, so people are experiencing loss. Animals, to some people, it's all they have. I've been seeing really heartbreaking posts, and a lot of them are about pets as well. And my gosh, grieve. Amelia and I've talked about this several times. There is no time limit on grieving. You take the time that you need and you get yourself through it. But please be cautious. And I hate to be the buzzkill on the grieving process. And if I didn't have a reason to talk about it, I would not be the buzzkill. But I cannot tell you, over the years, almost 20 years of doing this, I've seen a lot of situations. And I cannot tell you how many people have gotten themselves into trouble because they so desperately want a sign from their loved one, even a pet, even their pets. And things just come in and wait, and they'll tell you everything you want, or they'll come in and they'll, rub up against your leg. Or, I mean, my pup passed a couple of years ago. She was like practically like a child to me. My kids used to laugh and say, "She's number one child, isn't she?" I'm like, well, maybe, she's like 3
She's
pounds
on the well.
with this unit, right? But the thing is I still hear her barking. I can still sometimes hear the shuffling. We have cats, that have been seen in the house. And, I still mourn my little pup. I still miss her like stink. But there are just things out there that are always willing to project an image, to project a voice. And I don't want to say they're not your loved ones, but I don't want to say that they are either. And a lot of people run into a lot of trouble because of it. So just, again, it's just diligence, and grounding, I think, would help with that also. Amelia, you want to chime in on that because you're pretty much going through it. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I just my mind was, as you were speaking, my mind was going back on how many times it could have gone so wrong for me.
Yeah.
With the grieving, because you think you have your head there and you think that you're on it, and then you realize something happens and you realize you don't.
You're not. Yeah.
But I'm different in the sense that I don't reach out for interaction because of what I do. I know it'll come when it's supposed to, and I do pick up on signs and things, and I still do. Now it's different. With my dad, it's still emotional, but I know that if I wasn't grounding, I could only imagine how many things would be trying to come through.
Always
it's a perfect
kept an eye on you.
opportunity for them. Yes, Michelle's always watching.
Like
but
a mother
it's
bear.
and I'm grateful. It's a really good time for them to feed off of you, and it's just like it's depression. It's a form of depression. So yeah, it's a good time to feed off of you. It's a good time to give you that push to go down the wrong road. Yeah, Alex.
People
Hi,
just want the
Alex.
signs
Grieving
so
takes a long
desperately.
time, and there
Yeah,
are
go ahead.
always bad days even after years. Yeah, there is. There is. My mother's been gone 26 years, and it's hell. My dad's been gone 18 months, and it's hell. My brother 20 years, and it feels like yesterday. With him, with my brother, it's the hardest because he was young and because it was sudden. He had the aneurysm in his aorta, and when it comes out of nowhere, like an accident or something like this, or a heart attack, you feel robbed because you didn't have the time to absorb it. So it really messes with you. It's a time where we lash out at everything positive, whether it's God you believe in or whatever it is, you lash out. So you open the door and then you set up an invitation for everything dark to come in, because that's what you're expecting now. It's a different, you have to be very careful. Grounding does help. And I know it's hell of a difficult time to ground because your focus isn't there, but you have to take a deep breath and push through it, because it only takes 2 minutes.
It is very important to consider making it a part of your process.
Yeah.
I also want to address what Joan Elizabeth Pillar is saying, because she's saying butterflies and dragons, or dragons. Yeah, dragons. Dragonflies.
Both of us.
What? I know. But
I had to take a double take. Like, what? But where do you live? I'm on my way.
But there are signs for everyone, because some people will see
I do walk
birds.
barefoot all the time.
I've always seen very unusual birds. I've always had things like, look, see, this is a problem. I don't want to just say look for the signs, because sometimes you look too hard and you end up having an issue. But for me, I have seen very rare birds, like in my area, which shouldn't be in my neck of the woods. I once had a mourning dove, a white one. I guess I'm thinking, oh, someone must have let you off at a wedding or something, who sat over my door frame, over the front doors into the house for like 5 days. I finally phoned a friend of mine who dealt with birds, exotic birds, said, I know it's not an exotic bird, but it's also not a wild bird. Can you please come and get it? It's been sitting here for 5 days. He goes, I'll be there tomorrow. That bird just disappeared.
Excuse me. Yeah.
So now again, we have visitations, and there's a difference between a dream and a visitation. Your visitations are very vivid. You will remember all of your details. There will be conversations, but again, like, I never went looking for them. They happened. And I always knew from early on, it was just something that you just didn't do. And maybe that was because I came from that kind of a family where we were just taught to always just take a step back and watch what's going on around you. Don't try to manifest it with respects to things like that. And don't look too hard, because you might get something that you just don't don't expect. And I've worked through the years with many people who have been in trouble from grieving. And
Yeah.
there have been a couple that they were really, really bad.
Yeah.
So
I had one that one lady who her son passed away, and he was her miracle baby, and he was in his 30s, and he just dropped dead of a heart attack on a soccer field,
there you
30
go.
years old. And she just happened, a cousin of mine, anyways, it was through a draw that she won the reading. And I had offered 2.5 hours. She was here for almost 5. And I learned during that reading, because I don't discuss people's reads,
Right.
but I learned during that reading that she is at a psychic every week or 2,
Oh, that's terrible.
the same one.
Yeah.
And she said, well, we're friends. I go, no, do you pay him? Yeah, that you're not friends. Friends don't take $100 for an hour. You don't, that's not a friend. You really have to be careful with stuff like that, because
you can be led. Absolutely, you can be led, because
you can be led. And I can understand that he's charging for his time, but in the same respect, you
That's his
could be
living
playing
too,
with somebody's psyche and damaging and
there are
breaking
some
them.
out there who do just that,
Yes.
Oh, hello, Dolly.
Hi, Dolly.
Okay. Wayne,
Hi,
you should know
Wayne.
this.
How can the regular folk know the difference between suffering from chronic depression and a demonic oppression? Is there an easy way to tell? Aren't you going to answer that, Wayne?
I know. Do you not live under the same roof as me or what? No.
Aren't you going to answer
Depression and oppression are not far off. Oppression, I think, would amp up a lot of those negative traits. And I say negative because people aren't feeling uppity up and positive when they're depressed, or when they have addictions, or when they have various forms of PTSD or high levels of anxiety. It's one thing to have to go through that on your own, but when you have an oppression and something comes in, that's amplified. And it doesn't just stop there. You will have these entities. I always say it's the divide and conquer game. They come in and try to separate you from people who love you, separate you from anyone that could help you. I mean, I've seen completely, like, computers stop working, emails get jammed up, phones get jammed up. So anybody who could potentially help you, your messages just are not getting through. So, you get to that point where you have to, it's hard to be logical when you are caught right in the middle of that, but you just don't function properly. You just
That's
don't.
so close to depression.
It's
It's a tough one. I remember Bishop James answering that and saying that you really have to spend time with the person to know. You have to have that conversation. You have to see if there's signs. Like someone who's depressed is not going to be scratching on a wall to the point where their nails are coming off. There's behavioral depression. The behavior is to withdraw, is to be away from normal things, as is oppression. But oppression also acts out and does things differently. Yeah, always isolate.
Whether it is intentional or not, you end up isolated.
Yeah, they both do. Both depression and oppression.
Yes. Any way you look at it.
It's a really tough one. You can't just say, oh, that person just has depression. You have to be in their space. You have to talk to them.
I look for a lot of other signs.
There's a ton of them.
There's so many different signs that you can be looking for. And that's a whole show in itself. It really is. If you think you're in that sort of a situation, then, again, just message me at Michelle Desrochers contact@gmail.com and give me a timeline. I need to see a timeline because we need to know what's going on.
Yeah, because oppression, you're not usually, the person who's oppressed is not the one who notices. It's the people that live with you and the people that love you.
They're not the ones contacting you.
Depression, people don't know that they're going through it.
No. And if they do, they can't find the will to reach out for assistance. See, that's something else too with depression. Sometimes they will reach out and they will give you those little signs. With oppression, they don't, like, they even if they want to, they can't seem to
No,
come out
because the
and reach
object
out.
is to push them
So
deeper.
they
Yeah.
rely on people in their surroundings to do
Yeah.
that. So you need to, you need to be aware. This isn't normal behavior. Let's say for my loved one or my friend to behave like this is completely out of the norm. And
Yeah.
then you just start, spending some time there. When you start getting that hair on the back of your neck going up, or the butterflies in your stomach is the best way I can explain it for anybody
Yeah.
who doesn't know what to look for. Then just be aware that, if your intuition is saying something isn't right here, or this place doesn't feel good, or there are odd smells
There's a
here,
lot
there
of
are odd sounds
flies
here.
on our window. There's infestations. There's all kinds of stuff.
There's tons.
That also leads, but that's like right before possession.
Possession is rare, though. Possession is rare.
It is, unless you're Bishop James or Malachi.
Even still, though, but they'll still tell you,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, being channeled, I guess, is a form of possession. See, that's something else. People think
Yes.
possession is full on. Once something jumps in there, you are fully
No, it
possessed.
takes a
doesn't
long
look like
time.
that. It's sporadic. People kind of get into the driver's seat once in a while, jump out, get behind the, it's exactly like that.
That's why the film The Right, if you watch that film with Anthony Hopkins, and Bishop James will always say favorite movie closest to reality.
Right.
He was exorcising people for years.
Right.
And that is exactly what it's like in Italy. It's not something that happens like the movies that there's a week, and there is a whole preparation
Just look at the story
to it.
of The Exorcist, about that young man. It was 8 weeks of having the rites of exorcism recited every day, certain times of the day. It wasn't long, grueling days. The young man actually would sit there and play chess and quite functional.
And has no recollection of it now.
That's the best part. Hi, Jackie. I do remember. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Tamara says, yes.
That movie freaked me out. It was a really, really well done film. It was really well done.
Absolutely was. Yes. So you see, there's lots of different things. Wayne should actually know firsthand what it's like when something comes into the space, and when you're trying to reach out for help, and the calls and the texts just don't go through.
Yeah, he talked about that last Q&A
That's
when
right.
he came on. Yeah.
And the last, by morning, it's like bing, 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 all these messages. I'm like, what the heck just happened here?
And we saw that in The Conjuring. We saw that on Amityville. We saw that with Lorraine Warren, went through that many times.
Mm-hmm.
It's very common that they will disrupt communication.
That's
and
right.
think about it. Now it's digital. So you think, screw with the frequency. Well, back then with Amityville, it was a landline.
Right.
So.
Right. Exactly. And, speaking of frequencies, I want to talk about something, this is something, it's not paranormal, okay, per se. It's really not. And just because, going through it with a friend and someone we've been working with, people now with the internet, you've got this 5G, which is pretty powerful frequencies. And now you've got these companies that are coming in, and they're installing pods, and they're going wall to wall because it works your ground wire, right? Up through the walls, all this stuff. Guys, your pets, okay, could die. And the frequency screws them up. And
if you have a bird, I can't imagine.
Bird, reptiles,
so
tiny, sensitive.
Yeah.
Your pets. Please. I can't get into all the information about this specific situation, but when all of these things were removed, obviously, some pets have been lost, but other pets went back to normal. Frequencies, it can really mess you up, and it certainly messes them up. Okay, so bear that in mind. Everybody's like, oh, internet. Yeah, we're going to put a web over the house, wall to wall, everywhere. Here we go. Thank you, Dolly.
Thank you, Dolly. Causes seizures, heart failure, EMPs.
Yes.
That
Okay.
is just common
Yes.
sense. But
Right.
we tend to lose common sense when it comes to technology because we're
We all get
constantly
wrapped up in it.
wanting the best in everything.
It's true. We
Sounds
get
like the
wrapped up in
5G is
it and we're like,
creating a Faraday cage.
because
That's exactly it.
we have these, smart TVs now, these smartphones, technology. Well, my pet is sick. I don't know what's wrong with him. I don't know, like take him to the vet, can't figure it out, bring him back home. It's a sick environment. If you have pets, this is not the option for you. And I want to say it because this was heartbreaking to hear
Yeah.
about all this,
Can I make a suggestion? Because Tamara just reminded me of something that I forget that I do because I do it all the time. Faraday cage, it blocks any EMFs, it blocks any transference of energy, any any cell waves, microwaves, all of that. Now, often people will use Faraday boxes that you can get on an online shopping place
Right.
and put their key pods in there so people can't steal their cars. I have
Right.
a better one for you. If you are someone who keeps the phone on your nightstand, you can get a Faraday wallet that you use I have them for passports and credit cards when I travel so that people can't read the signal on your credit cards
Right.
or, the little square so they
Right.
can't scan anything. So I have those. Put your phone in that. It'll still ring, but you won't have the waves around you. And you'll actually sleep better.
Anything outside your house, you can buy curtains and everything that blocks
Yeah,
all
you
of that.
can buy Faraday curtains, yes.
But if it's all within your own space,
Yeah.
okay, eventually it could make you sick. It's dangerous as hell for your pets. So if you love your babies, think twice about the crazy technology because you know what? Not so good for them. So, and Dolly adds,
Oh, if it is emitting Wi-Fi
Wi-Fi.
frequencies or electromagnetic radiation, thank you, Dolly. I'm
right.
so out of it tonight.
I wanted you to address it.
Yeah. Oh, I do for sure. Yeah. We get wrapped up in the convenience without thinking of the side of it. Absolutely. And it fits. What's sad and scary is that it fits in with what some of the theorists are saying. So you have to pay attention to that.
It's true.
Think about whales that beach because of sonar, and that's older technology. Yeah.
That's right. There
It's
we
even
go.
worse right now, actually. I think Paul Watson talked about that as
He
well.
did when he
Captain
was
Paul
on.
Watson.
Yes.
Yes. That's in archive if you guys want to listen to it. If you
There's
missed that
two
one, he
with
talks
Captain
about that.
Paul.
There's
Yeah.
two, yeah.
The last one, yeah, he did get much more. He was having tech issues
We
the
had
first
tech
time.
issues the first time. The second time
Yes.
was nice and clear.
So, guys, you know what? Just please bear that in mind. And I wanted to bring that up because, again, we're addressing it and it could potentially, sometimes, people would think to me in the paranormal, sometimes pets get victimized. They can't speak for themselves. When we do clearings, we want to see the pets included, not only in the grounding, we want photos. We want them secure because they can't speak for themselves and say, something's attached to me. I don't feel right. And things do attach to them. So they're sentient beings. They have energy. It works the same as ours. So when you get things like this that can affect them, the first thing somebody who would think, you know what, something is not right, it's easy to lean towards the supernatural. And there are times when it very much is that. But we all, and sometimes it's not like spirits. And let me be clear about this. Sometimes spirits or dark energies can use the technology and manipulate it.
Yep, that you just pumped your house with so you can get on the internet.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's get those frequencies going. And all of a sudden, bam.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
You may have a problem and you're feeding this stuff.
It's an issue for human beings as well. We might not be seeing it right now, but we may see these kinds of issues later,
Yes.
I don't know, like really keep in mind for that Faraday thing for people who sleep with their phones next to them at night. They say that you sleep better when you don't have any technology in your room, and that's including a television, right? Like everything. I need the white noise, so I need the TV because it plays on YouTube, white noise like all night or brown noise, whatever it is. Even this ASMR stuff that's going on that everybody thinks is stupid, it knocks me right out faster than my meds.
Right.
I just think this way. If somebody can turn off a cell signal with a gadget, think about what it's doing to you. If they can block it with another signal, think about what's happening to us.
I don't even have 5G turned on my phone, and I never have the phone to my head.
No.
So there's a lot.
I don't use my phone.
Yeah, there's a lot to keep in mind. Technology now, as sweet as it can be, does not always work in the favor of us poor lowly humans.
No, so, if I'm using my phone, I use earbuds. Yeah, but I have a house phone that I use.
So let's bear that in mind as we progress through the Q&A. If anybody's got any questions and such comments, just fire them in there. Something that you're curious about, you want to talk about. Now would be the time to do that, because we're having a nice parlay over here, and I like how it's going. So
it's been a week, awesome. And it's only Wednesday.
I know, right? I know.
Yeah, it's been a week. It's supposed to slow down, and it just gets busier. I can't imagine what it's going to be like at Christmas with spirit activity if we're going through this now.
Well, I think when you suffer loss, and like I said, that falls under our fur babies, that falls under our loved ones and friends. And I think as we start, like I said, I'm just seeing all kinds of all over the world. So I think if it's happening, let's talk about collective consciousness for a moment, since we're talking about energy and how it can affect people. When you have so much grieving or fear, that goes into the collective consciousness. And for people who are really empathic, that's really difficult. But it's also difficult for sometimes we're picking up on that. We're all connected. So with that being said, I can't see that getting any better. I think if everybody took a few minutes every day and put in positive thoughts into the collective consciousness for everybody to take from, I think it might turn the tides a little bit and be, we would start feeling maybe a little bit more positive energy coming our way. It's really important because, we've come in off a roller coaster ride over the last couple of years of fear and illness or anxieties and uncertainty for sure.
Which we still have.
Oh, for sure.
Especially if you live in Canada.
So I think, just trying to reach into ourselves and try to find, even one thing, even just one thing in your day that you can smile about, whether it's looking outside and seeing a little bird on the tree, just tweeting along. It's like, okay, this is a good thing. It's a good thing. And it is a good thing. Nature is amazing. So let's just fill that collective consciousness with really positive thoughts, which create positive vibrations, great frequency. And let's just start, taking our space back a little bit.
Yeah. And instead of picking a horror or an action film, pick a comedy. It livens everything up in the room, especially if everyone you live with is watching it. It really raises the vibration in your home.
Okay, hold on. I just want to go back to this before we get back on topic.
If everyone did one good deed a day, the global vibration would raise so fast. I agree with you 1,000,000%. The sad thing is there's just a few of us doing it. So, and something as simple as holding the door open for another person, because we're lacking in manners, especially in respect to our elders. We are really lacking in manners. It's become a me thing instead of a how can I help you?
Right.
And that exchange of how can I help you? Let me get this for you. Let me get the door. Let me get whatever is necessary. It helps everybody. And then it livens up that person, and that person continues, and it becomes a domino effect, a ripple effect, per se. But it's really important, and it's so tiny. It's the smallest thing that could make the difference in someone's life.
I agree. I agree.
That's how you raise the vibration. Why do they say, where do you start with love? You start at home.
And light workers all over the world work on this. all
Yeah.
the time. And you know what? If they can make a difference,
Can you imagine if
guys
they
can make a
didn't? We'd
difference.
notice the difference.
You sure would.
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump.
Tamara says, do you think the paranormal cryptids and alien reports are up?
You know what? I think they are, or maybe it's people are more aware.
Talking. More people are talking, where before I think they
Yeah.
kept it quiet.
Well,
Yeah.
first off, people have been home more over the last couple of years, so they're watching more, they're learning more, seeing more programs, things like that. Maybe they're asking more questions. Maybe they're out hiking more. Maybe they are, just paying attention. I mean, with alien reports, people have their eyes on the sky. People
Yeah.
are actually looking. You have the whole CE5 movement, and people are going out there and they want to see something. I think there's a lot of there's a lot of controversy out there because some people think, you know what, no, people aren't ready for this. People are going to have nervous breakdowns. People are going to be fearful. There's a lot of negative aspects to all of this. But you know what? Just seeing what people are posting or seeing comments, and even some of the shows that we do with people who are versed in each one of these topics, people are asking questions. I think they are becoming awakened in that way, and they're willing to hear it, which is something really impressive because it's not always been that way. There are people out there going, no, I'm good, but I think the fact that people are even starting to be inquisitive is a really good thing for each one of those fields. So that's, I think that's a great thing. There we go.
Definitely. Jeffrey Adelson asks, what is the most haunted location in America you have investigated that has a lot of spiritual activity?
It's funny because I've been to some really crazy haunted places, and some of them, they always think the more malevolent places are the ones that they're going to get the best activity. And don't get me wrong, you do get some pretty wild activity. But I've had a friend in Pennsylvania. I've known her now since 2013, and she owns the famed Knickerbocker Hotel in Linesville, Pennsylvania. And I have to say, there has never been, and I could say this very confidently, there has never been one time that I've been there, and I've been there a few times, where something hasn't happened. And each of those experiences have been really positive, right? See, Adriana goes in there, puts it. She was with me also a couple times there. And I'll tell, and they're positive experiences, and they happen all the time. Whether it's something calling your name or someone calling your name, whether it's seeing a cat brush up against your leg or walk by, whether it's seeing the doors open. Adrienne, do you remember the first night that we were there? All night long, we could hear these doors rattling outside in the hall. Like, I'm so, oh my God, come on. We found out the next day when Peg said to us, she goes, that used to be a room and it was a honeymoon suite. That'd be the all night long. So
that was too much information.
Right? So we're like, oh, all right, that's great. We're next door to the honeymoon suite.
Yeah.
So then the next morning, Adriana was sleeping in. I decided to get up and go downstairs and have some tea. And she comes downstairs and looks at me. She goes, why would you leave the chair in the middle of the room for me to trip on it? I'm like, what are you even on about? Why do you think I would do something like that? But there was a chair in the room. And when she woke up, she said that the chair had been moved to kitty corner the bed, like someone pulled it up and was watching her. Yeah, the sleep watcher. I'm like, I would not do something like that, honestly.
Yeah.
And she says also she caught a shadow
on a photo and a full face in the mirror.
Why haven't I seen that? so there
you
you
need
go.
to send Michelle that picture.
Yeah, no kidding.
Remember, there was baby powder on the floor.
See, again, but so we're not talking a malevolent place or, malevolent hauntings by any means, but the activity never, ever stopped. It just
Yeah.
kept going. It's just a really, really warm experience, One second.
Oh, this one I hear a lot. Gettysburg was
I
the one
love
place
Gettysburg.
I've been to where the energy was high.
Yeah.
I saw an apparition in the Veterans Cemetery across the street, and my fiance's fully charged
Yep.
camera battery just died. Yes.
I-
I don't never heard anyone who's been to Gettysburg. I want to go for the burgers.
I've been there
Who's
twice
been
and I've
there
had
and
amazing experiences
yeah.
both times.
Yeah, that have never not had an experience. Everybody who goes there,
Mhm.
I mean, that's a excuse me, that's a really, really,
Oh,
really
I remember
blood-soaked area.
the one night I was there, my first night there, I woke up and I watched this orb go across my room and the whole room filled in a mist. I was like, oh, this is great.
I like
So-
Tamara's point because this is so true. Tamara, I find it funny that people think haunted places are only active at night. I
No.
have had activity happen during the daylight and more often than at night. Well, that's true for a lot of cases as well.
Yeah.
You're finding shows saying that they're there at night because the places that they're investigating are empty now, because now they have to say, things aren't happening. Things are going to happen when the spirit wants it to happen. And if it's residual, it's going to happen when
24/7.
it happened, whether that's in
right.
the morning or at night. So
That's
you're
right.
not going to always get everything unless you're there 24/7.
Exactly. Exactly.
Adrienne says, question, is there a difference between a cursed object and a haunted object? Oh, yes.
Yes. One is intentional and the other one not so much. So I won't say when I see intentional with regards to the haunting, spirits attach to items or places, even people, for specific reasons. If it's an object, it could be that they just loved it so much, or it ended up with someone that they didn't want, or it should have gone to somebody else, or there was something about it that needed, with a message, or they're just plain like, heck with it, it's mine. That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
Cursed objects, that's like ill intent put on something to cause some harm.
Usually by someone else.
That's right.
Not the person or the entity that's in there, is usually an unwilling participant because they were just thrown there. So imagine that, what that does as well.
Exactly. Making our way down the list best we can.
Yes.
A lot of questions, guys. We have 8 platforms, so we're not intentionally missing people.
No.
We may scroll back up too, so be patient, please.
Yeah. I thought about lighting up a cigar while I was there, hoping to increase activity, but my lady told me no. Yeah,
I
I'm with
would
her.
have.
Lit up the cigar. I would have left them a cigar.
Yeah, I mean, the soldiers
I would
might
have
have
left
thought,
one.
this is really cool. Look at this guy with the big stogie. We went in on that. So,
Yeah, it's nice
question.
to leave gifts for
Sure, you can. People
for
do
them
that
when
all the
you're
time.
when you go to these places, not just take from the experience, but
Oh,
leave
feel free to
something
leave
behind
something.
for them.
Absolutely.
Even water, Jackie says, do you think a newly constructed home can be haunted? I know it can.
Yes. Yes, it can. Yes,
I
it
lived
can.
it.
It sometimes
Yes.
has to do. I'll let you, Amelia, tell her story for
Oh
sure.
no, I
But
thought,
sometimes
yeah,
it has
sorry.
to do with the land, not the structure itself. And Amelia will
Learned the hard way.
validate that theory. Go
Learned
ahead,
the
Phyllis.
hard way. Hell of a hard way.
Yeah.
I thought I've only ever been in my parents' home, and it was new when I was born. I was there a year after they moved in.
Right.
So when I got married, I thought, oh, I don't have to ever worry about a haunted house because we're
Yeah.
building this house. Well,
Mhm.
I didn't know anything about the whole land thing, and later learned that I live on a big chunk of land where the War of 1812 was fought, and heavily, because I am literally 7 kilometers away from the headquarters for the Canadian and British Army. Well, let me tell you something. It was a lot like Amityville when I first got here. No one wanted me here.
Mhm.
No one wanted me here. And it went on for years. I had priests come in. I had a priest who wouldn't walk past the carpet at the front door.
Right.
He said, no, I can bless it from here. And I'm like, what? And
Yeah.
my mom ended up coming in and doing it because she was so upset. But it was a
Mm,
combination of a lot of things. But yeah, absolutely, it can be haunted. It's in the land. You can take the house away, and the spirits are still haunting it.
mm.
You know,
That's true. And I think
you can take down Lizzie Borden's house, and you'll still have activity because it's been there. It's present. It's in. It's the energy is there. The energy is in the energy. It doesn't matter what's built there.
spirits haunt places for different reasons. And
Yeah.
when you're looking at the land, especially when you're really going back in time, you have to remember the land sustained you. So most of the time, you would grow crop on your land, you would have cattle, your children were born on the land, you were born on the land, you built the house most likely from the wood on the land. Land made you wealthy. You were land wealthy. It made you someone. You died on the land, you were buried on the land. Just because you're no longer there doesn't mean you don't consider the land to be yours.
Oh, and when you're talking about 200 years later, that's a lot of dirt piled upon dirt, piled upon
It
dirt. You
is.
don't know
And
what's buried under there.
no, and life was harsh. I mean, you'd
Yeah.
have to light a candle or you'd have to chop wood for your heat. You would have lard, just to be able to light that candle or to like that. Everything went around full circle and sustained everything that sustained you and your family, you know, came from your land. So it's not easy. Whether okay, well, here I was just about to say this, so let's
Oh,
answer
yeah.
it.
AJ says, what do you think happens to spirits if the house they roamed burned down and not rebuilt? It's
Absolutely
still their
nothing.
house.
It's the I did
Yeah.
an experiment one time. I was working and investigating this house. It was just a phenomenal location. And the spirits seem to have an ability to see things in their time, of course. A lot of spirits see things in their time. It's why they don't necessarily understand why there's all this commotion in their space when people are renovating. And some spirits, in fact, most, I believe, can see things in the current time as well. And I would ask, in communicating, can you see things in this time? I was like, yes. And can you see things, back the way they were when you were alive? Like, of course. Like I feel, oh, of course. Okay, I feel like an idiot. Sorry. But with that being said, just because that house is gone, let's face it, if you're in modern days and they're still living in the house the way it was when they had it, they're obviously not bound by the 4 physical walls that are on that property. The
No.
house has always been there.
And they will, if it's even not residual but intelligent haunting, if they're going up a staircase, that was their staircase. That's where it is, whether
That's right.
yours is there or not. I have a really good story. I told a long time ago. My niece had bought a home and it backed onto a ravine, and there happened to be a plane crash not far from there many years ago. And there was always noises. Then there was a young girl who was raped. So there was another victim there, a grounded spirit.
Mhm.
These spirits from the plane crash thought that they had just crashed every single day at the same time, but it was intelligent. It wasn't residual.
No, that
What
happens. Yeah.
I had to find the manifest.
Mhm.
I went online because it was in the 70s, late 60s, early 70s. I can't remember because there's been a few of them in Toronto.
Right.
I found it and I one by one crossed them over. And it wasn't like 200 people. It wasn't that many. It
Right.
was just over 20. But I read each name and called them forward and moved them over.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying that even though the plane wasn't there, they were still looking for their loved ones that were traveling with them. And
It's
it
all
happens.
still
And
there. They relive it.
she had so much going on at this house. She had a young girl who was raped, who you would constantly hear the screaming, the dog would be freaking, and all kinds of things. And then she had a prairie woman come into her home with her children. But she wasn't in her home. She was in her farmhouse.
Her space.
Because
Right.
that was
Her space.
farmland, and everything was opposite. She only occupied the back little, maybe a third of her home, and only the staircase and the back bedroom. It was never downstairs. It was always in the same place. So
Mhm. It's
there's
strange.
a lot of hauntings like that, and that's a
Yeah.
new home.
Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes, these these replays are not always residual. There
No.
have been locations, I mean, I worked at a location where the person had a heart attack and just kept having it. And
Yeah.
he was stuck there and very much intelligent. So, until he was moved on, like this stuff happens.
Look at the one we did not far from my house, that
Yes.
client that we had.
Yes.
And
right.
for some reason, there was a spirit constantly walking through this mirror, this photo. I think it was artwork. I don't think it was a mirror.
I think
And
it was artwork.
in the bathroom, but that was a doorway before, but we
That's
didn't
right.
know
Before
at
the
the
addition
time
went on. Yeah.
until they told us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, well, there's a spirit walking through here. We've got to get to it. And
Mhm.
and it came in as we were leaving. We had to start all over again.
This
remember
house
that.
was very much like that because
Yeah.
a lot of these, these houses just get added on to.
Well, that's
So
how
you
I
have-
knew that you had that staircase. Yeah.
Right? And things just go on, and it's just
Because
like,
I watched it.
okay,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
I'm like,
it's-
did you have a staircase there? Because they're walking down the stairs, and I find it interesting to watch. I
Mhm.
do.
Yeah.
They're not malevolent. They're just
go.
going about their day. Sometimes they don't know they've passed.
This one's for you, Amelia, because you've been.
Oh, okay. This is sensitive, but has anyone reported experiences around the location where the Twin Towers once stood? Not an investigation, but went there to pay my respects.
Yes.
I have a video of it. I think if you go on my Reels section, you might find it. Or I shared the fountain because where the two buildings stood, like the memorial, they have the fountains that go through there and everybody's name. And what they do is when it's that person's birthday, they will put a white rose in the name because the name goes right through the granite. There is a profound amount of energy there because everybody's grieving. It's a place where they're congregating, whether or not it's the spirits, not necessarily. So what I found really strange for me, going through the memorial, I had a really difficult time in the museum, as you can imagine, because you're looking at fire trucks that are melted. You're seeing pieces of engine and walls, and the staircase that the survivors came down actually have missing concrete from all the feet and the pressure going down those original staircase. You feel and see so much, but they're also doing it for a reason. They're playing off the phone calls on the speakers overhead. They warn you about going into certain rooms. So it's really hard if you are not aware. You may think that all of this stuff is happening, but it's actually energy creating and putting you in that place because of all the way they're stimulating.
I agree.
And you have
Yes.
to leave the memorial. You have to walk through the gift shop. I'll leave that there.
Right. And you know what? Going back to the activity part of it, where she says during investigations, I'll tell you, I was at the field in Pennsylvania, where the ship went, or the plane went down on its roof, and
Allegedly,
and we're going to go with allegedly. And I thought, you know what? I'm here. I'm going to pay my respects. There's a large monument there, and I wasn't far from there, and I thought it was the thing to do. I went and paid my respect, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to, as I was leaving, because I didn't want to do it near the monument. I just thought it would have been in poor taste, but I was curious because there's a lot of those theories. So, I'm just going to sit here and see if I can pick anything up. Aside from a lot of the sorrow, the people were coming to and visiting were feeling, was just like, oh my God, like you can feel that. So I turned on the Ovilus just off of my phone, just for shits and giggles kind of thing. And of course, you're going to have all these names and everything coming up. And if you weren't seasoned and you were just playing with the phone app, you would think, oh my God, it's hitting on everything. Everybody's here. But the thing is a built-in GPS, whether it's the one in the phone or whether it's the actual piece of the Ovilus, because I've got like 3 of them,
You're
different
also
models.
under a bunch of towers.
They all have built-in GPS. So you're going to get some of, the GPS. Are you getting some of the history built into the GPS itself? Or, you know what I mean? Like, you have to take everything with a grain of salt. These places are tragic. There's a lot of, people that go there every day, and, with sorrow. I was one of them. I felt a sense of like, oh,
that's
gosh,
the whole thing with the 9/11 memorial as well,
it
with the Twin
was,
Towers.
oh,
But I
yeah.
did communicate with a young boy, and it was because I walked into the room where they switch out belongings so that you could, the families will come and give you things like one loved to cook. So you'd see his favorite whisk and his favorite recipe, and they would tell the story so that you could, you had a connection with these victims.
Mhm.
There was a young boy that came up because there was daycare and there was children in that building, and it came up, and I looked at him and like automatic connection. But I had already been in that building for 20 minutes before that happened. So let me say that again. I had already been there for 20 minutes, and I pick up quickly. He said, I said, do you need help? And he said, no, we all went right away.
Right.
We all lined up and we were in the light. And I'm like, you were in the light. Like, I'm having this conversation in the middle of a room thinking these people are going to think I'm nuts. But because I was by myself when I went through that. I'm not saying that people don't have experiences. I'm just saying that when I was there, and that was 2018, it did not happen for me like I thought it would. I thought there was going to be overwhelming amount of voices.
really.
Instead, the stimulation from the cries on the last voicemails. Honey, I'm calling you. I'm in the plane. We have that's what they were playing.
Yeah, I think for the most part, I think it's the energy from the living that visit.
Yeah.
You have the residual energy. That's not going to change. There's imprints there. When you have loss of life, even one, that transfer of energy is powerful. Now, amplify that by thousands of people. That's going to be one hell
And it's
of an imprint that is not going to go away. And now it gets compounded by those coming to visit in mourning or in honor.
Most of those people don't even know the victims that are there, and they're
but they
not
come to pay the respect because
not every spirit would be there. But the most fascinating of this, the story that fascinates me the most, and I ended up buying this tree. There's a tree that sat in front, like in the center of the 2 towers across the street. Well, like, because it's a huge area,
right?
That with all that soot stood the test of time.
Yeah, it's still
lived there. And it's still there. And they sell things on it. And sometimes I wonder because, I question everything. Some people believe that you should give somebody every opportunity until they show you that they can't be trusted. I don't trust anyone until they show me they can be. So I see things different. Pardon?
Sponsor time.
Jeez. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Cause I was getting worked up on that, but I like I said, I wish that I'm just clicking my notice. I wish that I had more, but that's all I've got. You're listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano, coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans on 105.3 FM. And tonight we have all of you as our guests. We are doing a question and answer. And as always, time is flying by. It's so much fun when we, interact with you because we don't get this chance too often. If you're missed or you're just coming in, stream or listen to our archives on any platform that you normally use. We are everywhere. And we would like to, with that, the reason why we're everywhere are these guys. Folgers, thank you so much for fully sponsoring our show from day one. We love you and we thank you so much. No one loves you more than we do.
I know.
And to another person that we really adore, we want to give a huge shout out and a big thank you for our outro and our intro, Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, Justin Snicker, award-winning composer and musician. You can find his music on Amazon and Bandcamp and check him out. Follow him on Facebook and Instagram.
There we go. I'm going to leave one of our.
Good morning, everyone. Wayne Murphy and Sean Williamson from Team Templar North America. when it comes to change. We're all about change, especially when it comes to changing history. But there's just one thing that we won't change, and that's the good taste of Folgers coffee in the morning, or anytime as a matter of fact. A taste that you can count on, just like the history that we plan to change. Folgers is a history of its own that will never change. Have a good day, everybody from Team Templar, North America. Folgers.
And one more.
The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
Ooh, love that,
There we
Dolly.
go.
And Wayne. Oh my gosh.
And we actually, Bart Sharp sent in a couple, and I'm still trying to get them transferred over from the south of France. And
yes.
oh yeah, just beautiful. So I'm working on it. It wasn't
Maybe
as
tomorrow.
easy as I
Maybe
thought.
tomorrow. Yeah.
I know. I'm just like, come on. So anyway, okay, next question.
Wild card question. If one knows who they were in a past life, full name, and where they are buried, would you recommend visiting your own past life grave? Wow.
Of course, I certainly would.
I would want to. I think I would want to try
I
and
would.
connect with the energy that's left on that body. I know
I
they say
would.
you're not there, but I would want to connect with that energy.
I
But
think
I would
so.
have to know where I was buried. All 1,000
And
times.
sometimes you know, and sometimes it's just it's bittersweet. Bittersweet.
Oh,
Oh,
I
back
love
at
you,
ya.
Dolly.
That
Excuse
was
me.
Dolly,
Sorry.
y'all heard right there a few
Yeah.
minutes ago, everybody.
I love that.
So that's why I'm saying send us your Folgers commercial. See how
Please.
easy it is? You know, you
Yeah,
can get
you
really
don't. If you're
creative.
shy, you don't
You
have
can-
to put
There
your
you go,
face
Carrie.
on there.
You gotta make a commercial. Just want to hear the word Folgers. Give us a full commercial.
Yeah.
Or show us your
Just
Folgers.
remember, we're being listened to. It's audio. Yeah,
That's right.
Jeannie.
That's right.
You
And-
can do one.
Woohoo. And Folgers, actually, guys, they do watch the show,
Yeah.
which is nice. But you know what? It's a great way to promote yourselves as
Absolutely.
well. Right? So we try to play, at least one. Like right now, we can usually do a couple per show, but right now we got the whole podcast awards thing. So we're just trying to sneak in a few here and there. So here we go.
Relatives are often buried nearby. Look for them.
There we go.
Oh, Dolly, I wish I knew where one of my lives was. Tamara says, trying to talk the kitty, talk to the kitty will do a commercial. That works for me as long as the kitty mails Folgers.
That's it.
We're good. Just remember, we need the audio, not just a visual, because
Very
it is
important.
in
Yes,
archive audio
yes.
only. Zach, I'm not sure if my past life was buried properly according to a dream I had and a psychic I spoke with. I was involved in organized crime during the 1920s and was murdered by my own crew. Well, you could be in several places then, Zach.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, like dimensional thing.
No, not just that. I meant pieces.
Oh.
He was
For
organized
real.
crime. So if
For
you were taken
real.
out by your crew, there's a good chance that you were dismembered.
Happy thoughts, Zach.
I
I
want
know
to tone.
Bart really well. Bart and I work together every single week. And I've known her for a while. In fact, Bart's been on the show twice. So you just have to try to dig up some archives and you'll see that. So
Yeah, Bart's on the team.
I've been to the Languedoc. I've been down. It's beautiful. It is beautiful. Yes, and he's wonderful.
Oh, he's so
wonderful.
nice.
I'm trying to get his commercial on. So he sent me 2 of them. We're meeting tomorrow actually to do work. So yes, he's wonderful, and I will. Honest to God, I wouldn't kid you like that.
I
Kira,
really wish I could find out about my past life.
there are ways.
Lives, yeah.
Carefully.
It can be dangerous. As intriguing as it is, it can be dangerous. Sometimes it's better that you don't know. And sometimes I really truly believe that if you need to know, you will get snippets throughout your life and visions, and you just need to write them down. If they're meant for you to know, to assist you in this life, you will know. That's how that's what I feel. And I feel that when you don't know, there is a huge reason for it. It's either a lesson that you need to learn that you didn't learn, or there's some sort of agreement that there isn't any bleed throughs with this one.
Yeah, a good piece of advice here too, Tamara.
Yeah, meditation can help with learning about past life. Yes, it can.
Absolutely. I think
Gently.
it's a great journey. It really is. If you do it carefully. Unfortunately, when you're going through past life regressions and so on, I've known people who've been regressed and who weren't necessarily brought out safely and now suffer from headaches, and there's just all kinds of doors. It's okay if you're going to leave a door open to,
Yes,
to
it can
help
be a
somebody cope
floodgate.
if you bring them out slowly and carefully,
It can be a floodgate even if you're taken out slowly. I absolutely know one of the most recent. Yours or mine?
No.
There she goes. French Revolutionary wartime. Oops.
Yeah. There you
Kara
go.
says, I have always felt like I had something to do with the slavery times, right? You
I
just
think
know it in your gut.
I think if you gravitate towards certain things and there's just no real reason as to why you would feel that kinship. Like for me, I can only speak for me.
Well,
I
just
know I lived in medieval times.
look at Michelle's
probably a
background.
few times,
That's
I-
her house.
because just look around.
Yeah.
But this is what gives me comfort. It's like
neat.
the one thing that can make me feel like I'm as close to that time period as possible. It just makes me feel safe. I love
I need
it.
to talk to Dolly. I know that I was French, and I know that I was female at the time. That's why I said you or me when you said French Revolutionary, and I am attracted to wartime, as you can see in my background. I have other pieces as well. It's being felt for you. Even now, your family is your family now. Thank you so much, Shelly.
Yes.
And it's funny because the military ended at my dad, but they all served, and my uncle was a prisoner of war.
There you go.
Of the Nazis for 3 months. He went missing. He was thought to be dead. But yeah, and my other cousin, my mom's cousin, was in the Pentagon when they were hit by the plane, but thankfully he survived. On one of those silly things, I left my briefcase in my trunk. I've got to go back to my car in the stairwell when it hit. It went right through his office.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody was definitely watching over him.
Absolutely. Sounds like it. But yes, I strongly encourage past life exploration. Just do it safely. There's a lot of information out there that can help you do it on your own as well.
Oh, Carrie, medieval Cathar.
Yeah, the Cathars. I know.
Cathar. Sorry, I always say Cathar. I always pronounce
Carrie,
everything with an Italian.
Have you been to the south of France at all, Carrie? Because you need to see the medieval city of Carcassonne. The Cathar.
There's so many beautiful
castle.
videos on it as well on YouTube.
I stayed in a place called Malve, Malve, and the building I was staying in was from the 1200s, and it shared a courtyard with a castle, and the whole town saved. There's only like 800 people in this town. Okay, bear this in mind. Saved up, bought the castle, and decided they would use it as a tourist attraction. And they saved up after that to have it restored.
Beautiful.
When I was there, they had people from the Louvre Museum in France who were in looking at artwork that was on the walls. And it turned out it was the most well-preserved Renaissance art in all of France. And they were there taking photos of it, doing restoration work on it. I'm sure it could be, Adriana, if you're still on, you remember that? This was going to be open to the public. It's Malve, Malve. And it's right in between Carcassonne and Rennes-le-Château. Right, Adriana? Yeah.
She said yes.
Yeah. I mean, am I right with the time? Approximately where it was located as well.
Did
So it was
Adriana
great.
do
And
up
that
your
place was haunted.
itinerary?
Adriana did.
Yeah, so she would know.
Adriana
Yeah.
does all of my itinerary.
So
And
she would
she's
know,
just,
definitely.
let's go.
I
Tired,
like that.
Adriana. Don't
I
care.
don't do that when I travel with my friend Nancy. Nancy does the itinerary. That's why I asked. I
So
just
does
like wherever you
Adriana.
put me,
Oh,
I
yeah.
will go, but don't ask me to do something.
No,
I'll
she
just tell you
says-
I want to see this, this, and this, and I need you to put the time together. Yeah,
That's exactly. She goes, what do you want to do? What do you want to see?
Yeah, you and
I've
I
got
could
this amount
travel
of
together
time.
very
This
easily,
is what
Adriana.
I want to do.
Yes.
This is what I want to see.
Yeah.
And
I'm
she
really
keeps me
easygoing.
on schedule, whether I like it or not.
Yeah, I'm easygoing as to where we go. Especially if I know I'm returning. I'm like, oh, let's hit these places, and I don't care when or what time. Just figure it out.
I have
Past
to
lives
say
can
too,
explain
Carrie,
sometimes.
the
Hang
pizza
nuts.
in Carcassonne at this one little place downtown around the fountain area, ate there every night. Remember, Adriana?
The Europeans know how to. Well, French and Italian know how to work a dough.
Place that was open.
Pardon?
I think it might have been the only place that was open too.
So you
it's
got
just
lucky.
like, oh, that was so good. It was so good.
That's the thing about Europe that's so different from Canada and the US. It doesn't matter where you stop in Europe, the food is good. Here in Canada and the US, it's a hit and miss.
I have to have pizza everywhere I go in the world. And I just like going to haunted places. This place in Malv that we stayed at.
I have to have rum everywhere I go.
We were hearing things walking out in the hallway, which I thought, oh, that's actually very cool. And there's like nobody there. And you can look under the door and just see stuff going on. Yes, Eric's vegan pizza.
There was vegan pizza in that little place? There was vegan pizza in that little place? Mind you, pizza dough isn't really
vegan for him.
Yeah,
I use
organic
pizza.
flour.
I'd be pulling it off and slapping it on his besides that. So
yeah,
he's just beating it all. I was like, yeah, pile it on. It was just hilarious, honestly. But okay, so guys, we're down to about 10 minutes because we have a video to play at the end of this show. So, are there any other questions?
There was one asked if you've ever been to Halifax. There's pieces at the Maritime Museum. I haven't either. I do want to go to Halifax because my father actually, and my mom and my brother came through Halifax by boat, by ship. My dad in 1953 and my mom in 1954.
Right.
55, sorry. Because then my brother was born like right after. Just saying.
But
anyway.
So that was quick.
Yeah. I know they were apart for 2 years.
Right. That's hard.
But everybody came in through there.
Right.
Is there somewhere?
Yeah, Amelia's
you
talking
want to
about
go?
hers.
Yeah, I just said it. Yeah, you want to go but haven't.
There's
I
lots of
definitely
places
want to go.
I just want to get back to Europe. I want to go to Portugal. I'd like to go spend some more time up. I'd like to be up Germany way. I've been to some amazing parts of the world throughout my life. And every time you go someplace, I'm sure Amelia will agree, you leave a piece of yourself behind. And, you know, I love the mountains. So I've tried to go places where I could be close, to a mountain range, someplace in the Highlands I love, and Romania. For me, I always had a kinship to that range, and going there and spending time in the mountains, it's just a phenomenal feeling. Yes, Black Forest. Okay, book it.
Yeah, not me.
Book it, baby.
Not me. I want to go.
So haunted and full of UFOs. Yes.
I want to go to Pearl Harbor, but unlike other people, Scotland is a definite for me. I'm going.
I loved it. I loved it.
I want to see Pearl Harbor, but the problem is I am not the person that you want on a plane for that long. From Toronto, that is one hell of a flight. I think it's 12 or 14 hours. I don't think I could handle it. I can't handle 5 hours. I go to Europe, I'm twitching. I will pay the extra money in first class or business class to fly when I'm on a plane for more than 3 hours. There is no way in hell.
Okay,
I'm going
Dolly,
to Scotland unless I'm in business or first class.
you drive, Dolly. You know where to pick me up.
Yeah.
Leap
No.
Castle. That's one I haven't been to. I've been to many castles in the world because
Yeah.
I'm a castle nut. So if there's a castle to be seen and I'm anywhere near it, I want to be there.
Leap's
Just
got
I
a
love
lot of
architecture
sightings.
though. I love architecture, right? So
Yeah.
I love to just look at how
I love
everything is
churches.
constructed.
I love to go look at old churches. I
I've
did
been to
that in
Egypt.
Boston. Yeah.
Yeah,
Scotland, Ireland,
Wales.
Wales, Egypt, Bavaria. Yeah,
Many
Egypt's
places.
not because it's too
Okay,
far.
Dolly. Oh no, Egypt was beautiful.
It's too
Egypt
far.
was beautiful. It's
Too
really
far.
not.
No,
See,
it is.
when I went, we started off like out in northern part of France, and we went and spent some time in Greece. And then when in Greece, then we just popped over to Egypt. So you break it up. You know, I was gone like almost a month that time, but boy, oh boy, it was
It's
worth it.
different when you're going from there.
That's what I'm saying.
Thinking of
From
going
here,
to Egypt from
be long.
Toronto. I'd be like, "Are you kidding me?"
No, you
My
got to
daughter's
fill
best
in.
friend is
You got to
Egyptian.
fill in a few other places just to make it. You know, so you break it up.
I
It's
get my fill
easiest.
through my daughter's best friend.
There we go.
I don't want to go there. It's
Right.
just too far. I remember my brother was there for a trip, and he said that when he went into underneath it to the pyramids, that he was so disappointed because
Oh,
he had
no.
these high expectations. No, the smell. He said
Oh,
it
the
was so
smell.
overwhelming. He couldn't. It took him a while to get in there.
Oh, wow. I got in like right away.
No, to get through it because he couldn't. He was gagging.
Oh, really?
He
I
said
did
it
not
was
get that at
smelled
all.
so bad. He was there in the
No.
dead of summer. Well, he
So
was
was
there
I.
for business a lot. He was there all
Yeah.
the time. He used to be there
Right.
3-4 months at a time because he'd
Oh,
come
yeah.
back here for 2 weeks. And
Yeah.
my brother used to sell textiles for like Ralph Lauren and Calvin
Mm.
Klein and all of these designers, Oscar de la Renta and that. So he would be there because of the textiles in
Mhm.
Egypt. And he said, he goes, they eat dinner at 11 o'clock at night. It killed
It's
him.
true.
It killed him. But once he got used to it, then he'd have to fly back home.
Right. Well, we are at that point, guys. So
Yeah.
I have to get ready to sign off because we have that work video we have to play after this. So I know.
Yeah.
But again, I thought this was a lot of fun. It was really nice to connect with everybody. I love the Q&As. We do have another one coming up in August, just saying. So, I think we'll be able to put all of your questions and comments together for the next one that we missed tonight. So again, thank everybody. I want to thank you all for being in here. You guys just make this show so much more fun. Also, big thank you to Folgers Coffee and Justin Snicker, aka Dr. Snip, the sonic surgeon. Thank everybody there. Please, if you enjoy the show, if you're watching it on YouTube right now, please subscribe. And if you're watching it on Facebook, go ahead, like us up. We really appreciate all that support, and we need that support. It's really important. If you want to communicate with us, again, I have so many emails I have to go through. I know there are people who've messaged me who want to come on the show. I've reached out, and you've reached out back if you're listening. I will reach out again with the filming of the documentary, and then just trying to catch up to life after that, and it's still not done. There's still going to be more coming. It's just taking me a bit of time, but I promise I will get to everybody. And again, tomorrow evening, for the very first time, we are welcoming Natalie Zett. And she's the author of a book where the main character is not a person, but it is a tragedy. Most people have not heard of this. It's called The Eastland Disaster of 1915. And what happens, basically, she says, what happens when you're innocently investigating your family's history and the supernatural intervenes? So this happened to her without seeking or wanting this. And basically, while writing her book, she goes, when you awaken the dead, expect the unexpected. I'm like, oh, that sounds like really interesting. So anyhow, if you want to reach out, the Outer Realm contact at gmail.com. Again, the Outer Realm contact at gmail.com. And I am going to go ahead now and leave you guys with this video. I can't do this the normal way, so please be patient with me. Here we go. I'm going to try this right now. Here we go, guys.
It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcasts. There are 5 shows I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards, the longest running premier awards event in the podcasting space, open to shows worldwide. Vote at podcastawards.com to nominate the following shows: Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast in 3 categories: education, storyteller drama, and art. This show is based on the world-famous Writers of the Future contest created in 1983 by L. Ron Hubbard and provides advice and tips from contest judges, international best-selling authors, world-class artists, contest winners, and industry professionals for writers and illustrators wanting to take their next step, along with needed inspiration to keep going. The next one is The Centralist in the category of politics and news. The Centralist is a much different news and political program which is not deemed as opinion news. Listen as Joe Montaldo brings you just the facts from trusted sources, which will allow you, the people, to make up your own minds on the various stories being reported on. The next one is UFO Undercover in the category of entertainment. This show brings you some of the most revealing and current research that is being done with respect to alien abductions and contact. Host Joe Montaldo has been an abduction researcher for over 35 years and is uniquely qualified to bring you live interviews with some of the most well-known researchers in ufology. The next one is The Outer Realm in the category of Best Female Hosted Podcast. The Outer Realm is a very popular show hosted by Michelle Desrochers and Amelia Pisano, which has millions of listeners each week. They are well known for their laid-back, roundtable style of interviewing. Together, this dynamic duo brings you the best of the best, with guests from around the world who are well-versed within their respective fields of ufology, paranormal, cryptozoology, folklore, and anything else that would be deemed outside the realm of normal. The next one is Chasing Prophecy in the category of society and cultures. Take a ride down the rabbit hole with Jenny Nicasio, Sean Kelly, and Jason Iampietro, where each episode brings a roundtable approach to conversations about supernatural phenomena, hidden secret societies, underground bunkers, magical conspiracies, the paranormal, cryptic creatures, aliens, ghosts, legends, and myths from around the world. Chasing Prophecy dives into topics that entice the imagination and seduce the mind, some of which are taboo. So go to podcastawards.com to vote for these 5 shows and any others you enjoy listening to. That's podcastawards.com. Take a moment and go out and vote.
Good night, everybody. See you tomorrow night.